It is time for my way too early top 25, and some of these on this list you might not expect. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's me, Golden Blue Dude, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget about my Patreon page. I'm adding some new things if you join my Patreon page. I've been racking my brains to try to figure out what kind of perks I could add to my highest level, my Patreon page, to make it extra special. There's a few things that I've come up with. The first thing is, if you join my highest level on my Patreon page, it's called the Champion level. Once a month, you will get a 10-minute phone call for Golden Blue Dude, and you can talk about stuff that maybe I don't talk about on the videos, college football related. And you can give me a video idea that I can take and make a video out of, and you'll know, hey, that's the video that I inspired. On top of that, we're going to set up a ticket drawing contest to where you can go to a football game with Gold and Blue Dude. We're still working out the details on that, but it is coming. So we have a lot of great stuff coming to my Patreon page, and right now I'm trying to nail down the highest level champion. I'll have other stuff for the lower levels as well. To join the Patreon page, just go to my homepage and hit the join button, and the link will be in the description of this video. So now it's time for what you came for, my way too early top 25. Coming in at number 25, and they're actually higher on a lot of people's lists, and that's Indiana. Now, they had a magical season in 2020. The problem is, number one, it was an abbreviated schedule, and their standout quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., got injured. Now, if he's healthy in 2021, Indiana could still have a good season. I'm thinking 8 or 9 wins. The backup quarterback, Jack Tuttle, he's not bad, but he's definitely not on the same level as Michael Penix Jr. Their running game took a big hit because running back Stevie Scott is gone. So they have some questions at the running back position. In 2021, the defense might be the strength of this team. They allowed 20.3 points per game in 2020, and they returned pretty much everybody, including all Big Ten linebacker Michael McFadden, cornerback Jalen Williams, and cornerback Tywan Mullen. Now, for me, it's Michael Penix Jr.'s health and solving that run game that will determine if Indiana can have another magical season in 2021. Right now, I have them at number 25. Number 24, Texas A&M. Whoa, Golden Blue Dude, that's way too low. Hold on. Losing quarterback Kellen Mond and 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen will hurt Texas A&M in 2021. I think the running game will be the strength of the offense because they do return Isaiah Spiller, Aeneas Smith, and Devon Achane. And there will be targets for whichever quarterback wins the quarterback battle. They have wide receivers Caleb Chapman, he returns from an injury, and Damon Demas, and tight ends Jalen Weidemeyer and Baylor Cupp. I think the defense should be fine. They'll have a strong defensive line and an improving secondary. But there's just too many questions on the offense for me to put Texas A&M any higher than where they are. Number 23, West Virginia. I know, you're going to call me a homer for this. Hear me out. First of all, West Virginia learned from their mistake with Rich Rod. They gave head coach Neil Brown a contract extension, but more importantly, they gave the raise that Neil Brown requested for his assistants. I think the offense will be even better in Morgantown in 2021. Running back Letty Brown is back, and he had massive improvements in 2020, which I predicted. And there's going to be a big-time quarterback battle in Morgantown. Jarrett Nagy, Will Crowder, and Garrett Green are battling for that starting spot. And West Virginia has arguably the deepest, talented wide receiver core in the Big 12. Not to mention that the O-line is back, their experience. I do think the defense will take a small step back. Safety Tyke Smith, he transferred to Georgia, but KJ Martin, he's back after opting out of the 2020 season. So it might be a small step, but it's not going to be a big step backward. I think they'll still be a top 3 defense in the Big 12. So I combine that with a much improved offense, and I think West Virginia is a solid top 25 team in 2021. Number 22, this one might surprise you. UCLA. What? They had a losing season last year. Yes, but they made some massive improvements. Chip Kelly is building something in UCLA, and it's looking good. I expect a big step forward in 2021. They have quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson back. It seems like he got better and better throughout the 2020 season. Now, there are questions at running back, though, because Demetric Felton, he's gone. But everybody else on offense, they're back. That's going to be a good offense. The defense was much better in 2020 as it relates to 2019. They only allowed 5.4 yards per play. In 2019, they allowed 6.7 yards per play. No key losses on defense allows for an even better defense in 2021. Number 21, Ole Miss. Quarterback Matt Corral gives Ole Miss an offense that could be downright dangerous. They have awesome depth at the running back position, including Jerron Ely and Snoop Connor. The passing game could be one of the best in the nation. They have wide receivers Braylon Sanders, Jonathan Mingo, and Dontario Drummond. It is the defense that has to improve. However, anything from last year has to be an improvement. They allowed 39.2 points per game. If they can cut down on that, and I think they will, Ole Miss will be a solid top 25 team in 2021. And I think they could finish right behind Alabama in the SEC West because I expect Texas A&M to take a step backward. Number 20 on my way to early top 25, NC State. They returned most of the talent that had a big bounce back in 2020. They went from 4-8 to 8-4, including quarterback Devin Leary back from his injury. They have good depth at running back with Donovan Knight and Ricky Person Jr. I think the passing game will be solid. With the always dangerous Emeka Emezi, he decided to return instead of entering the NFL draft. A defense that allowed 24.2 points per game will be much improved because they only lost defensive lineman Aleem McNeil as far as key pieces go. So I think NC State's going to be good in 2021. Number 19 is going to be Liberty. They came out of nowhere last year. Big-time playmaker quarterback Malik Willis, he'll be back, and he will make opponents have to score a lot of points to beat Liberty. Most of the defense that allowed 20.5 points per game is back, but the problem is they're not going to surprise anybody this year. This year, everybody knows how good Liberty is. The element of surprise is out the window. I still think Liberty is a top 20 team, though. The question is, can they meet higher expectations or more pressure? We'll see. Number 18 is going to be USC. Quarterback Keaton Slovis. He needs to be more consistent, but he gives the Trojans a chance at the Pac-12 South title. O-line has to improve. Now, USC has arguably the best wide receiver trio in the Pac-12 in Brew McCoy, Drake London, and Gary Bryant. I think the defense will take another step forward under defensive coordinator Todd Orlando with minimal key losses. And I do think the D-line will be the strength on the defensive side of the ball. Number 17, another team that seemed to come out of nowhere, and that's Coastal Carolina. Quarterback Grayson McCall, he's back, and I think he'll be great again. He'll have his best targets, wide receiver Javian Heli, and tight end Isaiah Likely. But it is the run game that might be a concern because CJ Marble is gone. I think the defense will be fine, but not great because they did lose defensive end to Ron Jackson, and he accounted for 8.5 sacks. Number 16, I have Iowa. The key thing here is stability at quarterback with quarterback Spencer Petras. 3 of their 5 offensive linemen are back, and with running back Tyler Goodson, they're going to have a good running game. Could actually be the best in the Big Ten. You never know. I think the passing game will be solid with targets like tight end Sam Laporta and wide receivers Nico Janey and Tyrone Tracy. I think the defense might take a slight step backwards because they did lose 3 defensive linemen, but last year they only allowed 16 points per game and 4.3 yards per play. So they're kind of in the same position as West Virginia. They might take a slight step backward. They were so elite last year that even a slight step backward isn't bad. Number 15 for me is going to be Notre Dame. Getting Wisconsin transfer quarterback Jack Cohn is a big deal because they did lose Ian Book. But I do think that the running game will be the strength of the offense because they have running backs Kyren Williams and Chris Tyree leading the way. The go-to target on offense will be tight end Michael Mayer. The defense did lose 5 key players. That's not good. But safety Kyle Hamilton, he's back. I think they have enough experience and talent to have another 10-win season in 2021. But I don't think they're in the playoff discussion at the end of the year. Number 14, Arizona State. Quarterback Jalen Daniels will be a legit Heisman Trophy contender in 2021. They also have an experienced wide receiver core. Arizona State has great depth at the running back position. They have running backs Rashad White, Chip Trayanum, and Daniel Nagata. On defense, Arizona State's 16 top tacklers are back, and that defense only allowed 23.3 points per game. It could be even better in 2021. Number 13, Miami, the Hurricanes. Honestly, I think a healthy De'Aaron King gives Miami a slight chance to beat Alabama. That's how important he is. I do think Miami will have a solid running game with running back Cameron Harris, and that running game actually could be spectacular if the offensive line improves. Behind Cameron Harris, they actually have good depth at the running back position with running back Donald Chaney and Jalen Knighton. Now, they did lose tight end Brevin Jordan to the NFL, but they did get Oklahoma transfer wide receiver Charleston Rambo. That might ease the sting just a little. If there's any improvement on the defense, Miami has a shot to win the ACC Coastal. It's all on that defense. Number 12, Washington. First off, the running game is going to be great for Washington because running back Sean McCrew is one of the best running backs in the Pac-12. And I think quarterback Dylan Morris will take a step forward in 2021. The offensive line returns everybody. And I think the defense will be legit too because they only lost 3 key players. I think Washington has a great shot to win the Pac-12 North and a pretty good shot to win the Pac-12 outright. Number 11 on my list is Louisiana. The electrifying quarterback Levi Lewis, he's back. And with running back Chris Smith averaging 5.7 yards a carry, that running game is going to be lethal. Most of the offensive linemen are back, and they can throw the ball when it's necessary. Defense will be good, but might take a slight step backwards. But last year, they only allowed 4.92 yards per play. So there is room for a small step backward and still be a good defense. Now we're in the top 10. Number 10, Penn State. What? Yeah, Penn State. They had a bad year last year. They did. But if you look before that, they were actually trending upward. I think they have a big bounce back year this year. I think Sean Clifford will actually improve because of a great quarterback battle going on right now. He has to compete with Taquan Robinson and Christian Valou. Penn State has great depth at the running back position with Noah Kane, Keon Lee, John Lovett, who transferred from Baylor, Devin Ford, and Kezia Holmes. They're fine at the running back position. And I think the play calling is going to improve too. Now on the defensive side of the ball, there is a little concern with the defensive line, but they did get Temple transfer Arnold Ebiketie. That will definitely help. I think the secondary will keep opponents in check with players like Jaquan Brisker, Tariq Castro-Fields, and Joey Porter Jr. It's just that defensive line that has me a little concerned. But all in all, Penn State will have a big bounce back year in 2021. Number 9, Wisconsin. Yeah, I have the Badgers at number 9. Running back Jalen Berger will have a good season, but depth is a concern. I do think that quarterback Graham Mertz needs to be more consistent, but when he had a good game, he looked spectacular. I think their wide receivers Danny Davis III and Kendrick Pryor could be dangerous. Wisconsin could have a very lethal passing attack in 2021, but they got to stay healthy. The O-line will be much better, and the defense will be reliable and experienced. I have Wisconsin contending for the Big Ten West, probably winning it. Number 8, Ohio State. They are loaded at the wide receiver position. Defense returns most of their experience from last year. Figuring out the offensive line, that is a little bit of a concern, but the biggest concern is the quarterback competition. That is the highest priority. Right now, CJ Stroud looks like he's just a little bit ahead of everybody else. I do think the secondary needs to improve as well. And as far as the running game goes, well, they lost Trey Sermon to the NFL, so Master Teague must produce better than what he did last year. I still have Ohio State at the top of the Big Ten, but Wisconsin is right behind them. Number 7, I have North Carolina. I think quarterback Sam Howell, he's going to be a legit Heisman Trophy contender this year. He has good wide receivers to throw to, including Bo Corrales, who returned from an injury, Josh Downs, Emory Simmons, and Caffrey Brown. Now, they did lose running backs Michael Carter and Javonte Williams, and that will sting. But to ease that sting just a little bit, they got Tennessee transfer Ty Chandler. I think North Carolina is going to be really good. Number 6, I have Iowa State. They just have a lot of people coming back. Quarterback Brock Purdy, running back Breece Hall, wide receivers Xavier Hutchinson, Tyreek Milton, and tight end Charlie Kohler. They could have the best or the second best offense in the Big 12. Definitely top 10 in the nation. Defense will be solid in 2021, and they are great at takeaways. Number 5, Cincinnati. They returned 16 starters, including quarterback Desmond Ridder, and they're riding a 20-game home win streak. Cincinnati will be good in 2021. Number 4 for me is Oklahoma. Last year, quarterback Spencer Rattler got off to a rough start, but he got better and better and better as the season progressed. Kennedy Brooke is back, so I'm not worried about their run game, and the defense is looking great under Alex Grinch. I think Oklahoma will be a playoff contender in 2021. Number 3 on this list, Alabama. Bryce Young, their quarterback, had a really good spring game. They lost a lot of pieces from that offense from last year. Most of that defense will be back, so I think Alabama will be great on their defensive side of the ball. Biggest concern for me for Alabama would be the running game, having to replace Najee Harris. I think the passing game will be fine. Bryce Young, like I said, had a great spring game. They have some good wide receivers. It's that running game that I'm concerned with. But I still think Alabama will be a playoff contender in 2021. But I don't think that they'll go undefeated in 2021. Number 2, Clemson. DJ Uiagalelei, he looked really good in the spring game, and he looked really good against Notre Dame last year, so he has some in-game experience. The defense returns 10 starters. Not worried about their defense at all. The biggest question is their running back position, just like Alabama. But unlike Alabama, they have Will Shipley, and he's looking good. And that's why I have Clemson just one spot above Alabama, the running game. That brings me to number 1. Georgia. They returned too much talent for me to not put them at number 1. Whether they win the national championship or not, that remains to be seen. But as far as talent, they are the number 1 team in the nation. And their offense is just filthy. And they lost wide receiver George Pickens. He might be able to return in the middle of 2021. I don't know. But even with that loss, they are jacked on offense. Quarterback JT Daniels. That offense looked completely different under JT Daniels. They could actually score. You add in running back Zamir White, he'll be back, very dependable. And there's that wide receiver core. Even without George Pickens, they have wide receivers like Kyrios Jackson, Jermaine Burton, Dominic Blaylock, and you can't forget about tight end Darnell Washington. Defense did lose a few pieces, but they did gain safety Tyke Smith from West Virginia. That will help a lot. Let me know what you thought of my way too early top 25 in the comments section. That's all I got for you today. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.